Alright lads, so today we're showcasing the newest characters in Bleach Brave Souls, starting off with the coolest character of the month, and to everyone's surprise, one of the best characters in the entire game. Can you believe that someone like Sang-doo, that has like 10 minutes screen time in the entire season of 1000 Year Blood War, less than that probably, is somehow one of the best characters in the entire game? But you know what? I'm all for it. As already stated multiple times, Sang-doo is not a character that is, in my top 10 star raters, but it is his first time playable and potentially only time playable in Bleach Brave Souls, so I do want characters like this to be quite broken and fun to play with. And that's exactly what this character is. He comes equipped with Toshiro's Bankai, which, to be fair, I've seen some people not like the idea that he's just another Toshiro clone. But let's be honest, what does Sang-doo even do? So he only uses Toshiro's Bankai. Matter of fact, gun to the back of your head. Name 3 attacks that Sang-doo does. You can't, because he doesn't. Hence why he is using Toshiro's Bankai. But you know what? Even though he is a Toshiro clone, I still feel like he separates himself a tad bit differently. And he looks really cool with this Bankai, I will say. So Sang-doo is a Quincy Stun Ritter, a Speed Quincy Stun Ritter with the Hollow Kill ability. His soul trait, and this is the first of its kind, status element spiritual pressure boost plus 40%. What an absolutely insane soul trait. Potentially one of the best in the entire game. Now, using him as a link, it does come at the downside of not using recharge, but a 40% SP boost is kind of crazy considering that this allows any character in the game that doesn't have an SP boost to then get an SP boost. And the funniest part is you could put this on a power character and let them get the SP boost. Of course, you wouldn't want to do that because then you're not getting the extra stats from the link slot levels, but it is just something funny you could test around and have a bit of fun with, which is kind of cool. Now, continuing on, there's a lot to go on with this character. First up, let's look at his damage output, right? He is a gauge character, so keep that in mind, but the character itself has Frenzy plus 2. When he inflicts a status limit, you then get a 120% SP boost, which is already crazy as is. And to help with inflicting status limits, he does have an increased chance to inflict status limits against any power enemy, and then when you do inflict the status limit, you then do 40% more damage to enemies that are frozen. That is great as is, but then he comes with a gauge effect, and his gauge effect allows him to get an additional Frenzy plus 1, so he's technically the first character in the game to have Frenzy plus 3 and the SP boost, but it's a 120% SP boost. The gauge also comes with extra bonuses, giving him an extra Sprinter plus 2, so when you are in that gauge state, where you're at your strongest, where you want to be quick because you have 10 seconds to take advantage of this big damage buff, you want to be fast, so those extra flash steps really do help out. But when you activate the gauge 2, you also reduce your strong attack cooldown by 30%, and he also has gauge rampage, so he's easily filling up the gauge, making him right now the best gauge character in the game. Like, honestly, it's absolutely crazy. So crazy, it makes you wonder what they'll think with Ichibei. Now, Ichibei, we're going to showcase in a couple of days' time. He's a really good character. One of his biggest downsides, and what we've seen with other characters like him, for example, Halloween Nini, is that when you activate the gauge, you get that big damage increase because you pick up an extra frenzy, but the negative is that your damage output when the gauge isn't active is on the lower ends. Now, with Ichibei, it wasn't that big of a deal. Again, I'll showcase that in a couple of days' time. But with Sang-doo, it's like, he doesn't have the negative effect of having the low damage output, because Frenzy plus 2, with an increased chance to fix status limits and 120% SP boost, is perfectly fine as is. Like, this, as a character, would still be one of the best characters in the game. But then you throw in the gauge, so you get the extra cooldown, you get the extra flash steps, you get the extra frenzy. It's absolutely insane. If that was enough too, he also does have a barrier on his SA2 with multi-barrier. This character is just absolutely cracked in all the best ways possible. And that's what I want to see with Quincy's like this, right? We've been waiting years for these characters to come in game. I want them to be broken, I want them to be OP, and I most importantly want them to be fun. Esnot, for example, is a character that I very much do enjoy playing with, but every time I play with him now, I'm like, damn, why did he get this treatment and Sang-doo got this? Now, luckily, Esnot is going to get a character in the future and probably be better than this Sang-doo, but damn, did Esnot not deserve the treatment he got? He deserved to be this level of OP, right? So with that said, though, we've rambled on long enough. I mean, this character's hype, right? There's a lot of good to say about him before we even demonstrate how good he actually is. We are rocking with SP10, the standard for this channel. Alongside that, we have SP and full stamina damage boost as our bonus abilities. Level 20 link slots with Ichigo, and also Chad as our links. Build includes our standard Quincy Cross, Cape Fastener, and of course also Fortification build. With that said, let's jump into some content. Alright then, so let's jump into some content. First up, we are taking him into Cobb Ultra Inheritance Trials. Well, we don't have Killer, by the way, but real quickly demonstrating his attacks. His Natsuring, despite him technically, yes, being a Toshiro clone, he is using Yorimaru. I do like that they do throw in some uniqueness with his Natsuring. You can see here that he is still using his claws, right? And with that, it does leave a nice little ice effect. So his SA1 is going to be a 3000 beam forwards. Really good SA1, right? His SA2 is going to be a lunge forward. Not the great lunge, but it's still a good lunge nonetheless. And the SA2 does provide a barrier. And then his SA3 is just a full screen. Again, his claws going across the screen. Now, we are going to have to be a bit careful here since we are not immune to burn. That's going to be our biggest downfall here. But what you're going to see is that we're just going to clear super fast. If we were at full stamina, we've already kind of ruined it. But let's see how this first run goes without us being at full stamina. For the most part, besides the burn pool, which I might want to give this character some type of immunity, we are going to be really safe. Since we do have access to the barrier, we're going to be doing a lot of damage, and our strong attacks are going to come back so quick too. And the great thing is that we can probably fill the gauge faster as well, considering that, you know, when our damage is low, when the gauge isn't active, the damage is still high when compared to someone like Ichibei, for example. So let's build up the gauge here. Let's use our SA3. You can see that the gauge is back in 4 seconds time, and bosses go down super quick. Didn't even get a chance to even see them. Now, the good thing about Sanctum is that even though we don't have killer here, ideally when you are showcasing the character or using a character in Inheritance Trials, you want them to have killer. In our case, it doesn't matter that much since we do have the increased chance to inflict status elements. So let's go here, use our SA3, activate the gauge, and then let's use our SA2. Good amount of damage there. Looks like we're doing 20k per hit. And there we go. Forgot we actually do have the extra flash tips when the gauge does activate. Let's go up here. Soul Bomb doesn't hit that hard, but since we do have the 120% SP boost, it should do a decent amount of damage. Really do like the Soul Bomb, by the way. Love it. They finally included the red backgrounds. There we go. Gauge does go up by 50%. Let's use our SA3 there into the 2. Go here. Use the 1. Did inflict freeze. Then let's go down here, use our SA1. And then combo that into the SA3, inflicting freeze on both bosses. You love to see it. Gauge is back. And then we finish up there with our SA1. So for our very first run, I'll be honest, on the slower side, we did take damage. We took burn damage. That does actually cost us quite a bit, since we are rocking a lot of full stamina damage here. So we'll try that once more, get a better, faster clear time. So even though we didn't include the fastest there, we will improve on that. But one thing I will say, just from the first, impression, first run, smooth gameplay. Like, he doesn't really have any problems with his strong attack here, and he's also very safe outside of the fact that you can take potential burn damage. I don't think you're ever going to get hit with this character since you do have the SA2. That's going to give you the barriers. The +5 barriers goes for +3 for your teammates, and then because you have the gauge effect, your SA2 is coming back more often than not. Alrighty then, let's try that again. This time, let's hope to not take any damage. So SA1 already inflicting a status on. You love to see it. SA3 goes off there. Let me go down here and aim the SA1. Hopefully I aimed that correctly. And then SA3 here should be enough. And then SA2 finishes up there. So you can see very fast first room. Let's use our nurturing when we can just to build up the gauge, because why not? Let's go down here. Let him attack us. That's fine. We can take the hit because we have the gauge. Could use my SA3 right now, but I like to save it to use it like that, for example. Absolutely bruising. And you can see that we would have taken a few hits there, actually. But we've been lucky enough to have the barrier SA2. And remember, I said the same thing with Nini and also Ichibei. Characters like this get better the more dupes you get, because the stronger they are when the gauge isn't active, the better they are in terms of gameplay, right? You can see we're breezing through this quest. Like, of course, it's expected you're going to one-shot and do crazy amounts of damage when the gauge is active. But when it's not active, which to be fair is only for like 1 or 2 strong attacks, the faster you can get out of that non-gauge state, the better. So let's go down here. Let's use our SA1. 56k per hit. Remember, we have Frenzy +3, by the way. Again, let's use our Nudge String. SA1. A few more Nudge hits, then 3. One enemy luckily survived it. Let's use our SA1 there. And then let's not even use our Soul Bomb. Crazy. Crazy. Okay. Is that it? That's it. We didn't even need to use our Soul Bomb. I mean, I don't think that was like a sub 1 minute or anything, but it was still relatively smooth. If anything, if it's around, usually characters like this, you want to get around 1 minute and 30, right? Without killer. I mean, 1 minute and 44. If we had long stride, which I might put on for our next run, 1 minute and 30 off killer at 1.5 is really good. With killer, though, you can definitely take that down to sub 1 minute very easily. In a way, despite him obviously being better than Ichibei, this is very in line with what Ichibei does do off killer and potentially when he's on killer. All right, then, let's try that again. This time I've gained in the long stride. We're going to notice that more so when we actually activate the gauge. Like now, for example, we get to have long stride with sprinter +3. Let's use that SA3 there into the 1. And then finish up with the 2. Good amount of damage considering that that can't inflict any status elements, which in a way is a bad thing about him, but I don't honestly mind it. Like when compared to Esnor, for example, The SA2 barrier does hurt him a tad bit more, considering that he does actually not have the best SA1, right? When you have a Vortex like this, you want to have a good Strong Attack 1 to make up for it. And in Sangdu's case, he has the best variation of a Strong Attack 1. So let's just once more use our Nad String. Activate the SA3. Good amount of damage there. SA1 upwards. Already missed my SA1. That kind of sucks. And then SA2 into the 1. SP Boost wasn't active there when we used the SA2, so that's why we actually didn't one-shot the bosses there. Let's go up here. SA3. Then SA2. Gonna aim the SA1 in that way. And then SA3 here. Beautiful amount of damage. Unfortunately, missed my SA1. Despite us having a good Strong Attack 1, it's definitely a skill issue that I missed there. And that slowed the run down a bit. Now, I will say, since again, I am comparing to the Ichibei, right? He's a very similar character to Ichibei without the negative effects that Ichibei does have. The great thing about this character right here is that if you make any mistakes, like Ichibei can, again, clear IT in under 1 minute. But at the same time, if you make mistakes, if you take hits, if you don't clear fast enough, when you're in that down state of not having the gauge active, it really does slow down your run. My runs of Ichibei can go from under 1 minute to potentially upwards to 2 minutes. With Sangdu, because his damage output's already high as is when the gauge is inactive, you're not going to have that down period. Like, if the gauge is inactive, that's fine. You're still doing good amounts of damage, you're still clearing fast, but when the gauge is active, then you're clearing even faster. And you can see there again, a 1 minute and 33 second clear time without killer. That's what you want to see with characters like this. That's what you expect with characters like this. It's almost the fastest it can be for a 1 out of 5 character. When he has killer, you can definitely take that down to under 1 minute. Let's try that one more time though, see if we can potentially just get under 1 minute and 30 seconds. Alright, then here we go. Let's see if we can once more. There you go. SA1, almost guaranteed to inflict the status, right? I mean, with Frenzy Plus 2, you're hitting so many times, it's to be expected. Let's SA3 there. Unfortunately, didn't actually one-shot, but the SA2 does have some good back range to it. So that's fine. Let's just use our Nat String when we can. Always ideal just to build up the gauge. Let's go down here. Activate the gauge with our SA3. Use our 2 there, and then go here, use our SA1. Maybe not the best place to use it, but let's use that SA3 now. Yeah, it wasn't the best position. Since we kind of messed up there, I don't think there's going to be a sub 1 minute and 30. But we'll see how the rest of the run does go, despite us making mistakes. Gauge did activate once more. SA3 is back in 2 seconds. Let's use it right there. It's actually really insane that he can almost clear this entire stage with 2 strong attacks, despite him being 1 out of 5 without killer. And I gotta say, his ice particles around the barrier look kind of nice. Let's go up here, SA3. Just use our SA2 to get that out of the way. And then SA3 again. One enemy did unfortunately get out of it. You know, since we're here, let's use our sub bomb now. Let's just finish off with a Nat String so we don't activate the gauge. And then we'll try and activate the gauge in this room. Let's actually wait for our Strong Attack 3 to come back. Like now. Gauge was not active, so you do actually want to activate the gauge before using that SA3 if possible. But SA3 here is going to do the job, and then we can finish up there with the SA1. So, not the greatest run for our last IT run, but you know what? It's still nice to show that not everyone is going to go your way. Maybe an enemy does survive, maybe you use a strong attack in the wrong position. Either way, still ensures that you have some good clear time. This probably around 1 minute and 44, right? 1 minute and 41. Still relatively fast, to be fair. So for Inheritance Style is definitely a good enough and fun enough character to use in any IT, regardless of the killer. But definitely when there are hollow enemies and you want to have some fun with Sangdu, it's worth taking him out. I definitely guarantee that. Next up, though, we're taking him into the Menos Grande Epic Raids. Gonna be a relatively easy one since this time around we are a bonus. And we also have killers, so it's even better right now. For the build, we are using these 3 pets, giving us 60% Berserker and also 60% more damage outfall stamina. Same exact accessories. And also we are using these 3 soul traits. Now for bonus abilities, it would be more ideal if I gave this character weaker defense. But since our strong attacks are going to do so much damage anyway, we might as well just keep it as is. Now, the good thing is, since we do have the increased chance to inflict status wounds, we should get it on, like, our first strong attack, if possible. Nope, apparently not. That's fine, though. Let's see how much damage we do on the SA1. 100k per hit, lads. That's about SP boost. 300k per hit with the SP boost. Wow. Let's use the SA3. 270. Woo! Maybe we should activate weakened defense on our Soul Bomb. I'm not too sure. Let's use our Soul Bomb now, though. Into the SA3, then 1, and then 2. Look at that. Less than 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds. That was kind of potentially with bad ROG because we didn't get a status proc right from the get-go. All right, then, attempt number 2. Let's see if we can get an SP boost right away. Unfortunately, we can... Oh, Nat String comes through. Look at that. Beautiful DPS. Let's use our Soul Bomb just to get the quick status proc. Doesn't look like we can follow up with that, to be fair. The freeze definitely wore off super quick. And right now, it looks to be our slow point. But you know what? We can just use our SA1 there. SA3 comes back, activates the gauge. Strong attack cooldown gets reduced. So you can see, even in Epic Raid, we're going to clear relatively fast too, right? Once more, looks to be another 30-second clear time. So even though maybe you are dependent on getting the SP boosted up, you're still probably going to clear around 30 seconds regardless. Not just with one Sangdu. If you're playing on Sangdu days with 6 potential Sangdus, you're just going to clear super, super quick. For our final run, though, I have given Sangdu weakened defense, so let's hope we can actually play this a tad bit faster, but also look at what the damage is going to be like when we do actually activate the weakened defense. So let's activate Tertius Bankai once more. There we go, weakened defense has been applied. Somehow we're doing less damage, like 200 AK, but I guess we weren't hitting any criticals. Gonna just build up the gauge with our SA, with our Nad String. Could use the SA1, but we're going to use our SA3. 300k. Look at that. Beauty. I guess if we can defense, we clear around 6-7 seconds faster, so it's not too bad. With that said, though, lads, that was the video for today. Checking out the new Sangdu. Overall, a very impressive character. One of the best, without a doubt, in the entire game. Offers some fun gameplay. Some good visuals too. Again, I've already mentioned it. Sangdu is a character that I wasn't that excited about. They really had to sell me on the character with his gameplay and also visuals. And I feel like Kara did a good job of that. Visually, this character looks great. And even though I don't have it on my main account, shout out to Beans for letting me showcase his Sangdu today. I definitely am going to be pulling on the individual because I just like this character. And I like what he offers on my account. He's overall a very strong character in an attribute that is quite oversaturated, to be fair. But he is going to be good in anything you put him against. IT, Epic Raids. You can even use him in Arena. But you can also take him into Guild Quest and he can perform really good there thanks to his damage output, utility effects, and then you can even use him as a link to offer some fun potential gameplay using characters that don't have naturally an SP boost and let them get an SP boost. This is what I want to see when it comes to almost every Quincy in the game, regardless of how popular or unpopular they actually are. We've been waiting years for these Quincy to be playable. I want them all to be OP. Thus far, we've gotten 4 Quincies from the 1000-Year Blood War arc. 2 of them have been quite OP. Bambietta will give a pass because she was already in the game, and she's going to get a new character soon anyway. Right now, the only miss is basically Esnot. I'm not saying he's a bad character. He's one of my favorite characters of the year. I think he's actually really good. But, you know, there is definitely a difference between Killgate and Sangdu compared to Esnot. And ultimately, the difference between them is that both of these characters were end of month, and Esnot was the mid-month. I'm hoping my favorite stun rated get similar treatment to Sangdu, and I'm looking forward to what Caleb have next to offer in our next 1000-Year Blood War banner, which might potentially be next month. End of month March could be 1000-Year Blood War. Next Quincy that we might get is BG9, so I'm looking forward to what they do with him. More so with the other Quincy's because this is pretty much the last character besides maybe Driscoll that actually uses the stolen Bankai. So any other Quincy we get in the future should actually be using their own unique powers and won't for the most part just be sorry per clones, if you want to look at it like that. Either way though, hope you guys enjoyed this video. In the comments below, let me know how you think about this character. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.